all this came out right before the playoffs about Jaylen Brown being traded and Tatum and like a battle between the two, and they just look like they're not cohesive defensively.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, the Jay Lethal to the Jeff Jarrett, as AEW has their own pay-per-view, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here. And he's also my technical consultant today, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, thank you for your assistance with my technology issue. How are you, man?
Technical consultant today. Yeah, I'm doing
my
good.
Technical consultant.
I'm doing good. How about you?
Man, we're going to find out. Because for some reason, it doesn't want to be friends with us today. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the finals, conference finals, and then the NBA finals. We've got some all-star game changes to talk about in segment 2, as well as a mini mock draft. And we're not going to go through the whole draft. We're just going to tell you kind of what we're anticipating you're going to see. And then segment 3, we'll talk about the WNBA. But Mike, let's go with the Eastern first, because you tell me to wake me when you're done. So we're going to have to get to the East first. But real talk, man, Boston's coaches bothered me. Boston's coaches bothered me the entire playoffs. And I need you to tell me why they're down 2-0 when they're clearly the better team. They've won 6 out of 8 quarters the first 2 games. You know, we tape Sunday morning fans. Game 1, they were outscored by 21 in the third. And game 2, they were outscored by 14 in the fourth. So, Mike, talk to me about Boston, because this ain't working out for me.
It's just not. I mean, he's learning as he goes. I'm not trying to
stop it. When you say that, he's taking the check, as John would tell us. Don't tell me about your learning when you cash.
All of us, that first time we in that situation, we have to learn. And if you're stupid if you don't learn from it, from there forward. But like, I remember the first real big time playoff game we had, and like you just gotta learn. And once you're there more, that's how you get it. Like, your players will get you over the hump early, but I just think he doesn't know. I mean, he was thrusted into a position that he not necessarily put everything into, I don't believe. I mean, I think he went from a position guy to being the head coach in the NBA. And some guys are only built to have the second seat. You know, some people ain't made to be the king. So I think he allows his players too much freedom. That's what you got to learn too. It's okay to give your guys freedom, but you also have to be able to say, whoa, slow down. And I think like Rasheed Wallace, I retweeted what he said or reposted what he said earlier. It's like, you need guys who are going to look and say, look, you need to sit your butt down, or you need to do this, instead of just being afraid to lose your job. Like, you can't put your fear of losing your job ahead of your morals and your stuff that you stand on. Right, wrong, and different. People believe what you stand on strongly, and they respect you for that.
All right. So, real quick with this. The Heat are very secure in their roles. They are so secure. Mm-hmm. They're well coached. And Jimmy Butler is playing on the best team for Jimmy Butler. That helps. Jimmy Butler can't do this on other teams. So, and he's already shown that. And that's fine. It's about fit. And I do want to say Eric Spoelstra talked about the play-in, and he said the play-in helped. There are far less teams tanking. Everybody's fighting for those last 2 months. Every game was must-see TV, and they've used that to kind of propel them as an 8 seed all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Mike, do you have a series prediction? Will Boston pull it out, or will the Heat win the series?
I think Jimmy Butler will win the series, or Boston will lose it more than Boston can win it. Like I don't think Boston's playing well enough as a unit to go. And I go back to the distractions, like just like Golden State from day one with the fight, and then all this came out right before the playoffs about Jaylen Brown being traded and Tatum, and like a battle between the two, and they just look like they're not cohesive defensively.
All right. I got to think Boston's going to figure it out and win the series. I have to think that, because they are, they are better than they are. They really are, and they're just not being coached very well. But
on paper.
On paper. Yes, on paper.
And it ain't the coach's fault if you can't go out there. They've been there before without him. So, and they've been to the highest point possible without Missoula. Is that his name? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Joe Mazzulla.
But it's not Missoula. This isn't on Missoula. This is on them not sharing the ball and not, in my opinion, not paying enough attention to detail when it comes to Jimmy Butler. Like Jimmy Butler, when he wants it, he just go get it, and there's not anyone in Boston that's standing up to that. Like they're not, like, foul him or something. Shit, like let him get it all in free throws. But the old boy tried to talk, and he got inside his head and made him try to go back. He worried about getting into it with Jimmy Butler. Meanwhile, he just killing, silent assassin with them.
All right. So now let's get to the Lakers and the Nuggets. So, Mike, the Lakers have not played badly at all, I got to say. They've played 12 quarters. Nuggets have won 6, Lakers have won 5, 1 quarter's tied. Now, the altitude piece is real, and so is the Joker. Joker's averaging about 30, 13, and 10 in 38 and a half minutes. Now, for the last couple of years, I've told you I like this guy.
Me too.
I've said I like the Joker. And he's playing in Denver. And Denver used to have these random injuries at like the wrong time. So they never have had their full allocation of players that they're used to having. But Denver has had the same starting lineup for all playoff games this year. And Mike, they play 8 players. That's it. 8 players, significant minutes. You know the unofficial rule: 5 to play, 8 to win, 9 if you got foul trouble. Okay. The Lakers have to keep doing roster changes, as they should. They're trying to win. They're trying to count. They're trying to do whatever. But Denver is countering everything. What are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, come on, man.
What are your thoughts on the series, man?
I think the Joker should be MVP this year, and what he's doing right now, watching him play, like it's unbelievable. And there's no one who can guard him. Like, he's unguardable. I hate to say it. Like last night, he got into the pick and roll, got a little man on him. He slid his ass down in the porch, caught the ball, turned around, floater. The next time he came, he got the screen off. The dude backed off the screen. The dude went with the guy, and then AD backed up just a little too far. He looking to throw it, saw AD backed up, knocked down a 3. Like, I don't know what you do except for double him. And I don't think the Lakers have started that yet. And I think they're worried about, guys like CP.
Porter.
I almost said CP, but Caldwell Pope, he knocking down threes, and he on the revenge tour because they let him go. You got Caldwell Pope, you got Porter, you got Murray. You got guys who can knock down open shots, and that's the difference. The difference in this game, this series, is the supporting cast for Denver is better than the supporting cast for the Lakers. And
yeah,
D'Angelo Russell sucks this series. No, I said it to begin with. This series comes down to 2 people, because Bron going to float his way through to get 30 when he want to get 30. But the thing is, what is D'Angelo Russell going to do, and what is AD going to do? That's all it is. That's what the series is about for the Lakers.
All right. So, fans, when we get back, we're going to talk about some All-Star game changes and talk to you a little bit about the draft. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast, segment 2. As we deal with the wonderful world of technology, let's talk about the NBA All-Star game changes. So, Mike, the NBA is considering turning back the clock and doing Eastern Conference and Western Conference as opposed to Team LeBron, Team Giannis, Team World, Team USA, Team International. The All-Star game used to be must-see TV, but quite frankly, over the last few years, it's just no longer must-see TV. So, what do you think about returning back to Eastern Western Conference? What do you think?
It makes sense. Like I like, I like when it was East versus West, and it actually meant something to where, like, maybe they ought to do like baseball, like the winner of the All-Star game gets home field in the finals, no matter
No,
what
no,
the
no.
record is. Yeah. Let's compete, baby. What you talking about? Stop it.
Oh man. Well, whatever they're gonna do. I do like the Elam ending.
What?
That's always fun. I do like that. But yeah, I don't care what you do. It's gonna be
I
hard to
don't like the
watch it.
Elam, and then I don't like the name of it because then you're incorporating other sports and all that. Great Elam. Elam never played. The hell with y'all.
Yeah. All right. Coaching's a tough business, Mike. And coaching today is even tougher. Denver's coach Mike Malone was hired in 2015, still with the Nuggets. They're doing well. And Miami's coach Eric Spoelstra was hired 2008, 2009, still with the team, still doing well. There are 5 openings right now: Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Toronto, and Detroit. What do you think, Mike? If you're looking for that coaching job right now, any particular people you would want for any of these particular openings?
It's going to be interesting to see who goes to Minnesota. That's probably the two. Minnesota. No, well, Minnesota.
Milwaukee.
Excuse me, Milwaukee and Arizona. That's the two that I'm interested to see who gets that job. And I want to see if Sam Cassell finally gets his first job, like first head coach job. That's the person. I like Sam Cassell for the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's long overdue, actually. So, Mike, if it's me, I want a 5-year deal with the option to renegotiate at the end of year 3. Give that to the team because they're taking a risk on me. And then year 4, give me the option to come back because a lot of this stuff is just some personality stuff. Like Phoenix, you guys made these moves. We were fine without them. And then you gutted the roster, gave us no depth, and now you're hamstrung. Milwaukee, you kind of probably won the title on a humble, so I don't know what they're going to do there. Philadelphia, good luck with that. And Toronto is still Toronto.
Philadelphia was crazy.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, that whole process was crazy. How did Harden know they was going to fire him, but Embiid did?
Yeah, and I don't know what Detroit's trying to do. So, all right, let's talk about the mock draft. And fans, I've given my partner like a mock draft on the screen just so you can kind of see what's going on. And no, we're not going through 30 teams, but look for international players in the draft. Okay. That's what I want you to look for, fans. And Victor Wembanyama, the floor on this guy is you got a 3-point shooter who's a rim protector. And if that's the worst you can get, that's a 20-year career. I think the kid's going to be really pretty darn special, actually. You're going to look for G League Ignite guys, okay? Because they've had the chance to play with grown men all year. And as Mike said, I need you ready for the league. I don't need you ready for Rhode Island and St. Francis. I need you ready to play pro. Look for overtime elite guys, and then look for a lot of freshmen. So, Mike, as you look at the mini mock draft that folks have done, anything stand out to you? Because those are the things that I'm immediately looking at are the international players, the G League Ignite players, overtime elite players, and a heck of a lot of freshmen.
I'm looking at the 2 leagues we developed for anything. I would think, like you said, I'm looking for those guys to come on out. Wamiani, I'm not sold on him. I know everybody else is, but like I want to see him in. Like he's not even playing in the highest league over there.
No, he's not.
You know what I mean? So come on, like he's not even playing against other guys who've been over here playing or are right at the cusp of playing. Like he's not even playing against them. So when you talk about overtime elite and all that, he, I saw the picture of Tim Duncan and all them guys preparing to welcome him in, and that's all nice. But I, I don't like it. I don't see it. But I will say that those guys who played overtime elite or Ignite, the G League, have they have an advantage over most of these other guys who are trying to just come in straight from European teams or what. Even the guys that play, some of the guys played in college.
Well, I'm not going to be the GM not to pick Victor. And again, his floor is just that. I got a 3D guy, and that's the floor.
Yeah,
the ceiling,
floor,
is
all that
crazy.
stuff.
Ceiling's crazy on that. But
it's also where you hang from. So,
all right, Brooks Hadlin.
Just saying.
Right. With that, in segment 3, fans, we're going to talk about the WNBA. We will mention the suspension of Becky Hammon. We'll talk about redelegation, or let me make sure I get the prioritization. So we're going to talk about Becky Hammon's suspension. We'll talk about prioritization. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, let's talk WNBA. So Las Vegas. Las Vegas is building the WNBA's version of a super team. Sorry, Mike, for using that term.
I hate it.
But Becky Hammon got suspended for 2 games. And the WNBA will continue to work with teams and coaches regarding its respect in the workplace. The WNBA suspended Coach Hammon for 2 games without pay and took a 2025 first-round draft pick from the Aces after ruling that the team had violated league rules regarding former player Derica Hamby. The league said the violations came from promises of impermissible benefits during the contract extension negotiations of Hamby. While a respect in the workplace violation in regards to comments from Hammon to Hamby related to the player's pregnancy. Becky Hammon disagreed with the ruling and made that very clear. But Mike, this is something men's leagues don't have to worry about. Any thoughts about just the suspension in general, and just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 2 games is a lot without pay, but her actions dictated that. To if you ask me, like you can't. Like she's been getting a little bit, too big for her britches. I think is that the word we can use? Like, no, seriously, talking about not getting a man's job and all that kind of stuff that's been going on. Like, it's, calm down, young lady. I mean, we know you're a good coach, but sometimes you just got to let it go, my guy.
Well, if I'm Coach Hammon, if I'm advising her, I'm trying to go back to San Antonio. Pop 73. They just got the #1 pick. Season ends in August. And let's see if I can be the coach in waiting, because this is a delicate situation, and I don't know if Coach Hammon actually handled it the right way. Her press conference and her comments were like biting, and instead of saying some things that I said may have been misconstrued or whatever, she just pushed chips in the middle and was like, "This is." So, yeah. So I don't know long term if that's going to work out, but we'll see what happens. But I do want to revisit the prioritization rule, Mike. So fans, the prioritization rule in the WNBA, which was negotiated by the Players Association as a part of the 2020 collective bargaining agreement, kicked in this season. So by rule, this year's players must complete their off-season playing obligations before the start of the WNBA regular season to be eligible. Next year, the deadline is going to be training camp or May 1st, whichever comes later. So Gabby Williams returned from a concussion to play in the opening playoff final game in the French League, and that likely rules her out for 2023. Most international leagues moved up their season, so they didn't have the issue, but they didn't. Mike, I'm going to ask you again, what do you think about the prioritization rule?
I think it's going to be beneficial for the league in the long run. I think that what they're putting in place, they're at that stage now. I like to compare them to where, let's see, what year was it when Magic them came in? 79?
Orlando Magic?
No, Magic Johnson and
79. Bird Magic came in 79.
Okay, so they're right there in that stage where they can, so they're going right there where they could be a great league or it could go ABA style on you real quick. So I'm just saying. So I think that they're at that stage. So these prioritization rules and things like that are going to benefit eventually. It's going to benefit the league. It's going to grow the league, in my opinion, because we need at least two more teams. We need one on the East and one on the West. At least two more teams.
All right. And speaking of that, a former number 1 overall draft pick was waived. Charlie Collier has been waived by the Dallas Wings. She was the top pick of the 2021 NBA draft out of Texas. She averaged 2.9 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 9.4 minutes a game. The team mentioned that they may look to pick her back up later. Mike just spoke about expansion. Last week, Mike King said, and rightfully so, why come out when I make more money in college and I'm more famous? A lot of good players getting cut, Mike. Is 2 teams enough for expansion? Because good players are getting cut.
Yeah, good players are cut. 2 teams are enough. But we are still trying to grow it small. Like you can't. That's not overexpand, if you know what I mean, because we're still talking about budgets. We're talking about flight deals. We're trying to get straight so teams can fly private. Like those are a lot of things that they're dealing with. That we got to try to get those things solved right away first, and then start with 2 teams this year, maybe 2 teams next year. Like that's the kind of thing I think they should do, and then let it rock for 2 or 3 years with those 4 additions. That way you get 1 in each, 2 in each, like 2 on each side. Like it just grew it that way because you're looking at 2 on each side. Well, one on each side gives you 25 players. There's 25 people who were cut that probably can play in the league, I would think.
What about roster expansion? I mean, not roster, roster expansion. Just if you can maybe add 2 or 3 players to each roster, at least you have some of your own development. Oh, you don't want that?
I don't want that.
Okay.
Why would I mean, I don't think that's going to work.
Okay. All right. What about playing in the fall? I mean, not in the fall, in the traditional time that basketball's played. Do you think that would help the league? Or
no, you can't compete against that. You got college basketball, NBA. No.
That's because it's basketball season.
Yeah, exactly. But
okay. All right. So games of the week, fans. Friday, May 26th, the Washington Mystics will take on the Chicago Sky, and that is the featured game on ION Television. Okay, so check your local listings, check your cable guide for ION Television. And then Saturday, May 27th, Connecticut is playing New York. So check that out. And fans, next week, we'll talk about the NBA Finals. We'll hopefully have some NBA coaches that are hired. We'll continue to do draft prep and give you our early season thoughts on the WNBA. Mike, anything to add before we close? And thank you for all your technical assistance today.
Let's keep trying to make build this thing. I think the women's game is going to be exceptional. I love it. It's technical. I love that they're competing and they're becoming more flavorful. So, like, I hope we get more support for the women's game.
All right. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. We'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.